Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome here as we prepare for the second race of the playoffs. It's the middle race of the first round here at the Kansas Speedway. Getting ready here tonight for some Speedway action in the Elite Racing League MegaDriver86 series. Being joined here in the booth this week by Tom Bourne. And Tom, last week we were at Watkins Glen, a road course. Next week we go to the paperclip short track of Martinsville. How much time, work, preparation do you think the playoff drivers put into this particular race tonight?
Well, I think it's definitely a lot of people put a lot of effort into this race because from what I've seen in practice, it's basically wide open. And if that's the case, then it's really, it comes down to basically anybody being able to hold it as wide open as they can for the longest amount of time.
About it too, Watkins Glen and Martinsville, those racetracks really are all about track position, but you come to a track like this, as you said, that we could end up seeing some long green flag runs and everything, maybe some strategy play out. It's a big opportunity for drivers to be able to solidify themselves into the next round with Martinsville on the horizon. And the big story coming into this one especially is there's about 8, 9, 10 drivers that are all real close together in the point standings.
Yeah, you've got, touching on Martinsville and Watkins Glen, they're more of skill-based tracks where this one is just go full throttle as long as you can and then start feeling the car out. But touching on what you said about the points, the top two guys have a comfortable lead on the rest of the points, the rest of the chase field. And then you've got third, fourth, fifth, all the way back to 13th, who's under a blanket of less than 20 points. And then you have Josh Adams rounding out the top 14, 50 points back of the whole of first place.
I think that one driver that is not in the field tonight that more than likely could be heading into Martinsville in a must-win situation would be Rishev Kosla. He's not racing tonight, and he was down next to last of the playoff drivers, 13th of the 14. So he may be heading into Martinsville in a must-win situation. But another driver we were talking about before we came on the air who had struggles last time out at Watkins Glen is Joshua L. Adams.
Yeah, he's on the tail end of the point standings of the chase grid, sitting 14th, 50 points back. He's still got time to make the top 9 in points, but considering there's only 25 cars in this race, it's going to be tough for him to get that top 9 spot. He's got to do a lot. I don't think he's in a must-win situation right now. He's sitting second on the board in qualifying. I think he's going to have 2 consistent finishes to just have a chance to get that 9th spot. And definitely with Kosla not making this race, there's one position for him already.
I totally agree with you there. I think too, it really is important, even if he doesn't win, that he has to leave here at least up in the top 5, because who knows what's going to happen at Martinsville. He could have a strong car at Martinsville and get taken out in a wreck not of his making. So I think to prepare for Martinsville, he has to have a good run here tonight. And of course, if he wins the race, that solves all his problems. He, along with David Tooker, would be locked into the second round, regardless of what happens next week at Martinsville. But then again, there's all those other drivers out there too, like Ethan Burrow, Jared Campbell, Tyler Riggs, Jared Rexing, all these guys that are up there in the point standings could easily fall out of the top 9 after a DNF here tonight. They want to win because they don't want to have to be in a must-win situation next week at Martinsville.
Exactly. All these, basically from third on back, is in I have to finish good tonight to feel more comfortable going into Martinsville. That's the mindset they're in tonight. And if one of those drivers wrecks or has a bad self spins or something towards the end of the race and they can't get it back, that could mean that they might miss out on a playoff spot.
To your point, third in the standings, Ethan Burrow. Actually, there's a tie between himself and Jared Campbell. You go all the way back to 13th in points, Rishev Kosla, who's not in this race. But
18 points.
As you said, it's a blank. It's 18 points, exactly. And every position on track is a point. And even though we've got a slightly smaller field than we normally have had during the regular season, still 25 cars. You think about the fact maybe finished dead last, 25th. That's 25 points you could lose to somebody that's either behind or ahead of you in the point standings.
Yeah, definitely. And I believe they get a pole point, right? The person that wins the
They do.
pole.
You're right.
So Tate Lytle right now will gain an extra point in this race. He gets the pole tonight.
Yeah, and the thing about
Somebody
him too, he was the last driver to win the last Speedway race back at Michigan, just before the chase began.
That's definitely interesting. You got Lytle first, Campbell second. He's sitting fourth, tied for third in points. You got Adams, who's dead last in the chase standings. He's third. Ethan Burrell, he's fourth. Those top four guys, three of them really need to have a good run. Now, the guy that I noticed that had a horrible qualifying run is the points leader, Frankenfield. He's starting 20th. He gets wrecked early, or he gets caught up in something, and DNFs, and everyone else has a good run. There's a possibility that going into Martinsville, he could not, if he DNFs there, he could not make it.
He had that runner-up finish 2 weeks ago at Watkins Glen. He has 26 points between himself and Ethan Burrell, who would right now be third in the overall standings. So he's got a little bit of a cushion. Be interesting to see him work his way to the front, because one thing that I noticed in practice here as well, a lot of the speedways that we've gone to here in the past, they've been cookie-cutter racetracks. Everybody's had to migrate to the bottom. If you go to the top side, you're going to lose positions. But I think it was 4 of our top 5 in practice as far as the fastest speeds. They were all running the top side. So we're going to see a lot more, I think, of drivers migrating to that outside line, the second and third group right up against the wall, trying to generate speed and pick up positions. And I think with Frankenfield starting towards the back, as you mentioned, that's going to be a good test case to see if that outside line works to work your way from mid-pack to the front.
He was the fastest in he was the fastest in practice, so he does have speed in the car. Just a pre-race update. It's a good thing Tooker won last week, because he got trapped in last-minute updates, I'm hearing, and he is not in the field.
And they are allowed, they have to make at least 2 starts in each one of the rounds in order to be eligible to move on to the next round. If they were a winner in what respective round they got to win in. So for Tooker, having that Watkins Glen win, as you mentioned, very, very important for him with that slight technical issue. You look here at the side-by-side, you can see what the playoff stands look like. Tooker's highlighted in green because he's locked into the next round with his win last week. But all these other guys, you can see just how close it's going to be. And we're getting ready to go racing here at Kansas.
Green flag's in the air as Tate Lytle gets a great jump off the initial start, as Josh Adams is going to battle Gerald Campbell for that second spot with Ethan Burrell right behind him.
Joshua Adams going to go right down there to the bottom. Now we're going to get to see, because there wasn't a whole lot of side-by-side racing that went on in practice. We're going to get to see the advantage between the inside line versus the outside line, and boy, Adams has that car hooked up on the bottom.
I definitely think at the beginning of the run, and with 3 wide for the race lead already.
My goodness.
What
Campbell
a run.
right down there on the apron.
What a run by Gerald Campbell, doing that crossover move. I definitely think, he gets really tight on the inside. I think for the first couple laps, I think you might want to be on that middle to low line. I think that's the place where you're going to gain some time, especially because everyone's going to be right up top. And then as the run progresses, you're going to be right next. You're going to want to be right next to that wall.
Saw right there the 37 of Ethan Burrell up the track in turn 4. That was one thing that I saw some drivers having some issue with. They would go up there, they would test the waters of how high they could run, but some of them would overstep that cushion just a little bit and get the wall off of turn 4. And you lose all that momentum. There's not a whole lot of time for the car behind you to check up, allow you to gather it back up with all the momentum lost. And we could see some drivers spinning off turn 4 as a result.
Yeah. The thing I'm worried about is that low line. They're going to get such a huge run off the corner. You saw it out of turn 2. Adams went on the low line. Campbell was up top. And Campbell just closed in on Adams like he was standing still.
Big reason why these drivers are up here migrating to the top early on. You carry so much speed into the corner. If you go down to the inside line, especially if you're behind someone, all that speed, the car gets tight, it's just going to go straight up the track towards the wall.
Yeah, you got to be very careful, especially if you're on the bottom line on corner exit. You're going to get really tight really quick, and if you have a car up there, that could spell disaster.
battle going on for the 6th position. Kendall Noah Player up top side, Andrew Rucker on the inside. Both these drivers in that umbrella of drivers that are all close to each other in points. Kendall Noah Player, he is, I believe, right on the cut line with Joshua Clark. Yeah, so they're literally basically tied for the final playoff position for the next round. And Rucker, I believe, is 7 points back.
Yes, Rucker, prior to the race starting, he was 7 points back of that cutoff, sitting in 11th position. Now, the other guy, Joshua Clark, he's running back in 19th. So that's definitely a interesting...
He didn't qualify well.
He did not. He was the second to last car that actually qualified. He started 23rd. Frankenfield is up to 15th. He's making his way up. But if I was Clark, I wouldn't worry just yet.
Definitely not. I mean, right now it looks like he's got a pretty good car in traffic. We just saw him make a pass there on Vincent Isabella. He's now trying to get by Joshua Personette, who ran into the back of Stephen Mago. Things kind of wadded up here. This is just outside of the top 15.
A little bit, and this is all a battle for the 16th position. All these positions are going to mean the world to Clark early in this race.
Back up closer to the front of the
Campbell into the outside wall in the middle of 1 and 2.
Yeah, Campbell battling there with Joshua Furr. I believe there are 2 drivers making their debuts here tonight. I know one for certain is, and that's the 6 of Logan Shea. I'm pretty certain this is Joshua Furr's debut in this series. A lot of people will remember the name when he ran back in the ERL Indy 500, but I believe this is his first start in the Xfinity Series, running very well right now in that 5th position.
I believe so, and we've got a lot of cars for this 10th position. Tyler Riggs, Frankenfield, Matthew Weeks, and Logan Shea. Car in the wall off turn 2. It looks like the 64 of Rucker. Yep. And this could hurt.
That's going to lose the momentum.
Yeah, this could hurt Weeks and Shea on this outside line. It doesn't look like it, and scraped it.
Oh, we got a car spinning. That's Laniger. Laniger in the infield.
Can he save it?
Try and save it. He did. Nicely done.
Wow.
No caution. Oh,
still got it. Still really fighting it now.
Drifting it on the apron. He overcorrected. Oh, there he goes.
No, that's a caution.
Well, that was the longest slide I think I've ever seen.
Why is there a white flag in the air? You see that too, right?
I do not know.
Oh, okay. Well, it says there's a white flag next to the yellow flag on my screen.
Well then,
that is very interesting.
Damian Leniger, my goodness, that slide started from just before the start-finish line all the way into the entrance of turn number 2, and somehow he managed not to hit anything.
I want to know how that all started.
I think he got the wall off 4. I just barely saw the beginning of it. His car was facing down to the infield. I think he may have gotten loose off of 4.
His right side is pancake.
I can see what happened.
Yep, he got the wall off 4.
Cinderella story win back at Daytona. Last ditch chance to get into the playoffs. Came into this one outside the cut line by 1 point. To the fact that it was 1 point he needed to get into the top 9, and all those positions and points he just lost right there.
As we got pit stops.
Back and see about the pit stops in a moment. We're going to take a look here and see what happened to Leniger. There it is, off of 4. And I think I can safely say this is the longest slide I have seen a driver have all season.
Yeah. You definitely say that again.
Mago, his heart rate probably went up right there.
Yeah. Definitely. It looks like. Who is that? The 32 and the 3. I believe missed their box, maybe?
Be that, or they might have tried to stay out to lead a lap. I do know that they utilize this strategy quite a bit, where they will stay out one lap, come to pit road the following lap, and then fall to the back. One thing I'm noticing here, you got Joshua Clark staying out, leading a lap, so he's got that bonus point.
Well, there you go. He's got that bonus point, but he's going to restart behind everyone now. And the 32 and the 3, they both missed their pit box.
Okay, yeah, so
along
with
field
28
through, it looks like Tate Lytle will go back to the racing lead. Adams will go to second. So Kendall Miller Player is running 6th. He is the driver coming into this race that everybody was chasing for that 9th position. Leninger, obviously, the problems we just saw, he's running 22nd. Rucker, he's been all over the place a little bit. He's running 7th. Stephen McGough, he's running 13th. And Coslaw is not in the race, and like I said, Josh Adams is going to restart 2nd. So it should be interesting. About halfway, hopefully I'll have a points update, unofficial points update, as the pace car is about to pull off. Seth, you want to do this one?
All right, so it's going to be a Ford on the bottom and a Toyota up top. It'll be interesting to see here, too. It's interesting the 56 chose the inside line, but maybe trying to see if he can clear before he gets into turn 1 as the green flag is back in the air. He'll try and put Ethan Burrell and Joshua L. Adams side by side for 2nd place and try and pull away. As we mentioned, Tate Lytle won the last Speedway race back at Michigan, which locked himself into the playoffs, so he knows how to get it done at the 1.5 mile, 2 mile Speedway tracks. And right now, he's got about a car length, maybe a car length and a half lead back to the 37.
Yeah, Josh Adams did not get a good start on that restart, as we have a battle for 2nd brewing between the 37, the 31, and the 88. As Josh is going to try and take it 3 wide. Ooh!
Oh, man!
That was close. Well, he's testing the waters a little
Camel
bit.
through the eye of a needle.
Just testing the waters.
For a car to maybe fit. And I think he tested it, and it almost worked, but I think he wisely backed out. He now clears Campbell for 3rd around the outside.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, and I don't think we have horseshoes or hand grenades.
Don't think so. Nope.
Well, if they've got hand grenades, there's a problem.
Maybe a couple of these drivers have a horseshoe. Maybe a couple of these guys have a horseshoe in their car for good luck. But aside from that,
maybe if they've got hand grenades in their car, there's an issue. NASCAR has.
Then there's a problem.
Yeah. Adams tries to go to the low side, will drop back in line behind Burrow into 3rd, and he's under fire from Campbell for that 3rd position.
You can see how much momentum the 88 lost trying the inside line through 1 and 2, and the run that Ethan Burrell got on the outside down the straightaway checked out by about maybe 2-3 car lengths between himself and Adams. So I don't know. It's like these drivers, they have to try the bottom to be able to make a pass, but they run the risk of getting tight and sliding up into the car they're trying to pass.
Definitely. And ooh, Frankenfield and Riggs, battle for 9th going on. They almost made contact going down the backstretch. As a guy to watch.
Frankenfield's working.
Yeah, started from the back. Now he's here.
In the 9th position right now, of course, Frankenfield and Riggs in the early portion of the season had that back and forth of one won a race, the other one won a race. Campbell, in the end of the season, of the regular season, had 3 wins. Riggs had 2. It was interesting too because I talked with Tyler, I believe it was back at Watkins Glen, and he said that he was actually looking more forward to Martinsville than the other 2 tracks here in this round. But a 10th place run right now for him, and he came into this race, I believe, 7 points ahead of the cut line. So, maybe he can go into Martinsville with a little less pressure on him if he can complete where he's at or pick up a few more spots before the conclusion of this race.
Definitely going to be interesting as, Rucker gets really tight off turn 2. Frankenfield goes by.
Yeah, he was trying to let the 15 by, and Frankenfield just barely squeezed between the 64 and that outside wall. So that was a close call there, but Frankenfield was one of the few guys that I saw in practice that could run right up there against the wall. A lot of drivers would try it, and you'd see sparks flying off the right rear quarter panel with them brushing the wall on entry or off exit. Frankenfield was one of those few that knew exactly where the line was that you couldn't step over to be able to get the most speed you could out of the car.
Yeah, he's making that pass underneath Logan Shea for the 7th position now. It looks like wherever he goes, wherever the car goes, it's fast.
The thing, too, that I'm noticing about him, and this is true about most of the mile-and-a-half tracks, it's all about momentum. If you can carry momentum through the corner, you're going to pick up positions. He's been able to make passes on the high side. He's been able to do a good job with keeping his momentum and slide jobs on the inside, so that's why he's working his way towards the front. Yes, it is.
For what? I don't know.
Teen car, Vincent Isabella.
Ooh.
He lost it maybe in the center of 1 and 2 as he's currently on the apron on the back straightaway.
He might have gotten a little help.
What happened to him?
The 83 of Stephen Mago. Into the wall, entering turn 1, and in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Started to slide down, and just Vincent had no place to go.
Is on the front stretch going into turn 1. Just up the track just enough. And a lot of times too, and you know this too, Tom, when you go up into that outside wall, it's like it hugs you. It hugs you into it. So your reaction is you want to turn left. You want to get out of that wall and stop losing all of that speed and all that momentum. And then usually that's what happens. If you got a car to your inside, you're going to come down the passenger side door.
Yep, I know that way too well. It's happened to me way too many times. We got pit stops again.
We do. This time we're actually going to get to see the pit stops live as Tate Lytle brings them down. Looks like Ethan Reasoner stayed out to lead a lap, so he'll probably be on pit road the next time around. Adams there actually pulling alongside the 37, trying to see if he can gain some spots on pit road.
Definitely.
I think most of the times you see these drivers come into pit lane, I think you're going to see 4 tires. I don't think you'll really see anybody, at least for playoff contenders early on, going with 2 tires, because I think with what we've seen at the speedways, you try a 2-tire or no-tire strategy, you're going to lose a lot of time on track.
Yep, absolutely. And especially, well, actually, with this new tire model, actually, no, the Xfinity Cars doesn't have the new tire model yet. At least I don't believe so. But I know, I did a truck race yesterday, and I know 2 tires did work for a little bit. But then again, that's with the new tire model. Again, don't know if they have it or not.
Driver that's been running towards the rear of the field pretty much the first 20 laps of this race that I'm not certain if he's just not comfortable going up to the front or if there is some issue there, and that's the 10 car of Jared Rexing. He came into this race only 5 points above that 9th in the standings cut line, and he's right now back in the 22nd position. I don't think he's even made his way up into the top 20 so far here tonight, so
He
I'd be a little bit concerned on what's going on there.
He did start 11th. When
he dropped like a rock then.
Yeah, when I saw his car under caution, it did look like he had some right side damage, so it might have gotten into the wall, just scraped it a little bit. But, you know, Jared Rexing, like you said, he was 5 points above the cut line. Joshua Clark, he was, you know, a little above, right? I believe he was a little above the cut line as well, you said?
Actually, he was tied with Kendall Noah Player for that final position, really.
Okay, so he's running in the 23rd position. So right there, you have 2 guys that are on the bubble, basically. One's running 21st, one's running 23rd. You got Stephen Mago. He's sitting 12th in the standings, 9 points before, 9 points behind the cut line before this race. He's sitting 24th after that accident. Andrew Rucker, another guy.
That should be worrying these guys is the fact that Joshua L. Adams has been up in the top 5 all night. That's a guy that could leapfrog all of them You know, even if he doesn't get a win, he points-wise probably could leapfrog all of them heading into Martinsville points-wise.
Yeah, Josh Adams has not left the top 4 all race. He started third. He's running third right now. You got Rucker, a guy that came into this race 7 points back of the cut line. He's running 17. Rexing, like you said, 5 points above it. He's running 19. Clark, he's running 22nd. He was tied for the cutoff. And then McGo, he was 9 points back. He's sitting 24th. If it finishes like this right now, Josh Adams can he will leapfrog all these people.
If it finishes like this right now, too, regardless of who up here at the front wins, you look at drivers like Tate Lytle, Ethan Burrell, Jared Campbell. You know, if they finish where they're at, you'd have to think they're going to go into Martinsville with a pretty good points chunk between themselves and that cutoff line.
Absolutely. And a guy who's finally up towards the front right now, Chad Frankenfield, started 20th. He's running 7th. And he finally sees the front of the pack. As pace car
this is going to be interesting because it's the furthest he's been up to the front. You're right.
Yeah, pace car is in, and Tate Lytle, another great restart.
The green flag comes out as they hit the line. It's a total of 65 laps to go in this race. Surprisingly, we've only had 2 cautions in these first 25 laps, and I still think. Well, you know, I was just gonna say, I still think the way that we're seeing this racing and everything, you know, we had the solo spin for Leniger, we had the slight contact that caused the spin for Vincent Isabella, but for the most part, these guys have done a pretty good job of spacing themselves out, having these one-on-one battles. I think we could see this thing go into a long green flag run for sure.
Definitely can, and Josh Adams makes a power move off turn 4. He's gonna clear Lytle slide job. Oh!
Yikes.
Wow! Lytle is not going to be happy about that.
Checked them all up. Who also won't like that is Ethan Burrell, because he lost a ton of momentum because of that. He had to check up for the 56.
Wow. A guy that's coming up, Kendall Noah Player. He's battling for that 5th position now.
Kendall Noah Player, our Pocono winner, last couple of weeks has really risen up there to the forefront of a guy that could be a sleeper. And as we mentioned, he, along with Joshua Clark, they came into this race tied for that 9th final position to move on to the next round. So definitely he wants to have a little bit of a cushion when we get to Martinsville. And it looks like this one might possibly be for the 32, perhaps?
Yes, the 32.
He off of 2, it looks like.
Self-spun.
Best Endure.
Just got loose and spun it.
Endure. Doesn't look like he hit anything. Looks like the car came to a stop there on
big contact on the inside wall.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. That's a shame.
He struggled this season. Oh yeah, you're right. He definitely got that. Well, boy, that car snapped. Gracious.
Yeah, that car bounced when he hit the wall.
See him trying to make a move there on Michael Goodman. Car just snapped around on him, pretty much without warning. And he tried to get back into the throttle, but it was facing towards the inside wall. And yeah, he's got some pretty good front end damage on that machine.
So this is going to be interesting. They ran about 3 laps. Is anyone going to come in? Is anyone not going to come in? This is the first time we've actually had like a quickie caution.
The other thing that's going to be interesting, we saw how aggressive Joshua Adams was there on that restart. Now with him restarting the leader, how aggressive are they going to be behind him?
Adams and Campbell stay out. Everyone else comes down pit road.
This will be interesting. I mean, what do you think? 3 laps on tires? Do you think that puts them at a huge disadvantage?
I think it's not going to be a huge disadvantage. I think it's going to be a little bit of a disadvantage, especially if they start going green. I think Adams and Campbell are banking on a 10 to 15 lap green flag run. It's going to set everybody back to the same sequence, and it looks like Campbell overshot his pit box a little bit. He had to back up. I'm sorry, not Campbell, Ethan Burrell.
What's going to be interesting here, 2 things. One, how many other cars stay out with him? Looks like Joshua Clark stayed out, Joshua Personette stayed out. So I think that they may have a... little bit of space to be able to work with against those guys that take 4 tires. The only other thing I would wonder about is it enough time here under pacing to cool down the tires that have run 3 laps under green down to the same temperatures of drivers who have just come to pit road and gotten fresh tires?
So it's definitely going to be interesting. I think it's going to be enough time to cool them down. There are also some other guys that took 2 tires. Frankenfield, Joshua Furr, I believe. Yeah, Joshua Furr. And I believe Kendall Noah Player also took 2 tires.
First time tonight, we're going to see Tate Lytle start back in traffic as well. Going to restart in the 8th position.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he has any damage to even hinder him.
See what Adams does here on this restart. Can Campbell keep with him? Got Joshua Clark up here. Now this might be a little bit of a Hail Mary pit strategy here in the first third of the race. Maybe get another quick caution, maybe with like in the next 10 laps or so. Have everybody draw it back to pit road, and Clark could still find himself up there inside the top 10 after pit stops. So I think what he's banking on is maybe having a little bit of a run, but being able to keep his track position.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting, and you've got those 2 cars in between the cars that stopped and the top 2 pace cars in. They really haven't been up there. Josh Adams gets a great launch, and it looks like Frankenfield didn't go.
He did not. Boy, it looks like he might have missed a shift or something, because, yeah, he was really slow. He stacked up Kendall Noah Player behind him. And look at this. Jared Campbell down on the bottom might get a good run here out of 2. We could have a battle for the lead when we get down to turn 3.
Joshua Furr
making the
pass.
Trying to get a little
first and net.
Campbell trying to get a little bit of air to his grill on the back straightaway.
Here comes the 25. He took 2 tires at last pit stop. He's running third. He just made the pass for the 3rd position.
Tell you who else is coming in a hurry. 4 tires, and Tate Lytle on that outside line. He's up to 5th. He's trying to cut in between Joshua Clark and Personet, and he made it work. You're right.
Big checkup from the 28 entering the corner. That did not help Frankenfield at all.
Lytle now up to the 4th position, sets his sight on the 25, and I think the 88 and the 31 are being told 56 is coming in a hurry, because Campbell looks like he's putting a lot more pressure on Joshua Adams for the race lead.
Definitely, as we are 3 wide, now back to 2 wide between Personet, Burrill, Logan Shea, Andrew Rucker, all those cars just under a blanket right there.
About the fact that Ethan Burrow had missed his pit stall, and so he lost some positions on pit road. He's worked his way back up to 9th, now trying to take 8th away from Jared Rexing. Look up back towards the front of the field, though.
There's a guy that you said
might have gotten the wall.
Campbell under fire from Joshua Furr. He started 5th. We haven't talked about him at all this race. And he's running up there.
Only seen him in an Indy car, but he looks pretty good in an Xfinity car too. Look at him hooked right down there on the bottom. And Tate Lytle, he wants that outside line, but he keeps getting boxed in by slower machines.
Definitely going to be interesting to see how Lytle will get past Campbell. He's running the exact same line. Campbell gets a little higher.
Inside.
Is this going to hurt Lytle right here?
Well, he's got 4 tires, so he's got the grip to be able to run the inside line. So we'll see if he can keep the momentum through the center.
He's not gonna get the run off. Oh, actually,
little contact.
This is music to Josh Adams' ears right now. Just listening and watching all this unfold in his rearview mirror. Lytle makes the pass. Back
he needed the 31 to battle the 56. Yeah, he needs this.
Exactly what's happening. Campbell with the slide job.
Yep.
Lytle goes back underneath.
Boy.
And it looks like Lytle is clear.
He's got him cleared. Yep, he does have him cleared. So those were a couple of tenths that maybe were gained there by Joshua Adams, and that also allowed him to maybe have the tires between himself and Tate Lytle a little bit more equal, because Tate Lytle had to use up some tire rubber there in those crossover moves between himself and Jared Campbell. Now we'll see, though, if the Ford tires come into play, as Tate Lytle's going to try and run down Adams. And remember how unceremoniously that slide jump was with Adams against Lytle on the last restart. Wonder if Tate will remember that.
He probably does, especially if he's got damage to his race car. Doesn't look like he does, though, and if he does, it's not hindering him at all. It looks like it made him faster, if anything.
Absolutely. See Adams trying to take away his line, running the top side. So I think if Tate Lytle's going to make the pass for the lead, he's going to have to cut it down to the inside. So I don't think the 88's going to give him the top.
Ooh, almost contact between the 25 and the 15. 25 had to get off as Campbell is blocking Frankenfield all the way down the front stretch.
Field right now in 4th position, trying to make a pass here. He was one of the drivers that took 2 tires on the last pit stop, as did Kendall Noah Player running behind him in 5th. Ethan Burrell is now back up to 6th. He's on 4 fresh tires.
Yeah, 25 is loose, hard into the outside wall in turn 4.
Green.
Still
Joshua
Green did
Furr
not spin. He's
way
still
back
on the wall, and he's going to get it to pit road. No caution.
Break there for Joshua Furr, who is running up inside of the top 10. Hard impact for his machine.
We have a crossover for the race lead.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we got some good battling going on here.
Caution's out, and Adams is in the race lead.
About half a car length. He was ahead of the 56.
Wow. Who was it? It looks like Joshua Clark.
I think it was the 28. Yes, I think you're right.
Did he have some help? Let's find out. Oh. Little bit of help from the 64, Andrew Rucker.
Couple of playoff contenders getting together.
Although Clark did not hit anything. So that's a plus.
Remember that Joshua Clark was one of 3 drivers that stayed out under the last caution. Actually, no, one of 4 drivers, I'm sorry, that stayed out under the last caution.
So I think this is exactly what Josh Adams needed. He needed some way to get past the 56. Well, to stay past the 56, I should say. That 2 laps made somewhat of a difference, but not as much as we thought. And he got a caution 10 laps later, and now everybody's back on pit road.
He was able to keep the race lead with that strategy. Everybody's going to be on equal footing with the coming to pit road and getting their tires and everything. So yeah, its strategy, I think, definitely worked out for him. I think Tate Lytle would have loved to have had that caution come out maybe a few seconds earlier than it did. But now it'll be interesting to see, because depending on whether they keep the positions they were in when the caution came out, we're going to have Adams and Lytle on the front row.
Yep, Adams will get out first, Lytle second, Frankenfield will get out third, Campbell will get out 4th, and it looks like Ethan Burrell will get out 5th. Top 5 stay the same, exiting pit road. It looks like the top 10 stay the same.
Strategy worked out for Frankenfield, too, because he picked up about 3-4 spots on the 2-tire strategy on the last caution. He's now going to restart up in 3rd place. Furthest up to the front he started all night long. Now he's got 4 fresh tires as well.
Yeah, just a guy I want to touch on. First caution of the day, Damian Leninger. That long slide. He's running in the top 10 right now.
Is right now scored in 9th place. So a nice comeback for him.
And coming into this race,
I don't know. It seems like this is the round of comebacks for Damian Leninger, because you think back to 2 weeks ago at Watkins Glen. He was the first car to have an issue. He overdrove turn 1 at Watkins Glen, had to battle his way back. I think it was for a 10th place position at the end of the race that went completely caution-free. So it's been all about fighting for Leninger here in this round.
You know what? And he entered this race 1 point back of that 9th position. With Clark having problems, Kendall Noah Player is only 2 positions ahead of him.
Also got the fact that Adams is up there right now leading this race. I would say that the next driver that would have to be worried would be Stephen McGough. It looks like right now you could have Adams in, Leniger in, and you could have Clark and McGough currently on the outside looking in when we get to
McGough was
Martinsville.
already on the outside looking in.
Oh, you're right. Yep, you're right. So it probably would be...
Probably be Clark and...
So, yeah.
Honestly...
Maybe Rucker? I don't know. It's close between Rucker and Kendall. No player, and those guys right there.
Looking in. Starting this race, the outside looking in, Kendall Noah Player and Joshua Clark, they were on the bubble for that 8th and 9th position because they were tied. Leninger was 10th, 1 point back. Rucker was 11th, 7 points back. McGough was 9 points back. Coslaw, who's not here, was 10 points back, and Josh Adams was 16 points back.
Now, I guess the battles that we'd be looking at currently would be basically Adams versus Clark, and then maybe Riggs versus Leniger, I would think.
Where is I'm not sure where Riggs is in the points.
He's 7 points to the good, 8 points ahead of Leniger. Right now, they are running 9th place for Leniger and 11th for Riggs. I mean, right now Riggs would have Leniger points wise, but if Riggs runs into trouble, I would think that'd be Leniger would be the one to capitalize.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right, because Kendall would probably move up to the 8th position or maybe higher, so he would stay in. Clark would drop out. Leniger would probably jump in unless Adams wins this race.
That's what I'm banking this whole supposition on, is if Adams does win this race with him leading right now. Green flag back in the air at the halfway point of this race. 45 laps left to go.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how these last 45 laps play out. I believe one more pit stop still remains, at least, for these cars. As if we keep getting cautions every 10 laps, we could see 3 or 4 more pit stops.
A new second place car, Frankenfield, was able to follow Adams on that inside line, leaving Tate Lytle to battle for third with Jared Campbell. So now Joshua Adams looks in his rearview mirror and he sees the 15 looming large. And I think we're seeing Frankenfield be able to go out there really aggressively here tonight, because he had a 26-point lead between him and third in the point standings. So he's looking like he's really in good shape after his runner-up finish at Watkins Glen to make it in the next round on points alone. So he wants to go out there and get that win.
Definitely, as we have a battle for the 5th position. Andrew Rucker, he's trying to... He just cleared Ethan Burrell for that 5th position now, as we have a good battle for the lead going on. Frankenfield will duck to the inside, going down to turn 1. Adams fights back, clears him off too.
Yep. I think for Frankenfield, he either needs a lot more momentum on the straightaway to make the slide job work, or else he's got to do what we saw him do when he worked his way up from mid-pack and run that very outside line right up against the outside wall.
Or he needs Adams to lose his momentum somehow.
What though? Tate Lytle got around Campbell, and now he is hounding Frankenfield for second. Looks like he's closing up on the 15 just at least a little bit, and I believe the two of them are teammates, so it'll be interesting to see how this battle goes on.
Definitely going to be interesting to see how it goes. Even though they're teammates, I don't think there's any team orders going on for this, as we got the top 4 underneath a blanket right now. All chase drivers. One is basically needs to win. Can still get in on points, but it's going to be difficult. But he's doing a very good job at trying to get in on points.
And think about the fact now we're into the second half of this race and how difficult it would be for someone like Adams, like Rucker. I mean, those guys don't have a whole lot of room for error. I'm sorry, not Rucker. I'm sorry, I meant Tate Lytle. But they don't have a whole lot of room for error with the fact that Adams is outside the cut line. Lytle is not that far ahead of the cut line. If they make a mistake here in the closing stages, they're throwing away what could have been a top 5 finish in an attempt to try and go for a race lead, potentially race win.
Yeah, it's definitely more concerning for Rucker because he's sitting in that 5th position right now. He's got to make something happen. I don't think he's got the speed to compete with these top 4 cars. As Frankenfield goes underneath Adams, he might pull the slide drop going down into 1. He's not clear.
Oh, that's close.
Adams in the wall.
Yikes. Yes, he did. He put Adams in the wall there. Adams could not give him any more room as Frankenfield slid up, and that's going to lose him a lot of positions. He's already outside the top 5.
Adams has to be upset with that.
And
easy top 3 car all race long. One incident, he goes straight back to the 9th position in 1 lap. Wow.
Doesn't look like he's got a lot of damage, but as mentioned, a lot of momentum lost and a lot of positions lost as he almost fell outside the top 10. Recovers into 9th, but here's Leniger now making a pass, so he will drop back to 10th place. And boy,
Adams has more damage than you think. I'm taking a look at his car right now. He's got left side damage and right side damage. You think back to him making that slide job move on Tate Lytle. Well, Frankenfield's a teammate to the 56. You kind of wonder if he thought, okay, well, let's see how you can handle a slide job. I don't know if that was I don't know if that was Adams really couldn't do anything about that. He had no place to go. If he went up anymore, he would have been in the wall either way. I think Frankenfield just thought he was clear, and he wasn't.
Your point on the damage sustained by the 88. He's now dropped out of the top 10. He's now at the 11th position. And his lap time's certainly not looking anything like they were before. This is a good battle going on for 2nd place. Jared Campbell almost pushing Tate Lytle down the back straightaway. The two of them are so close.
Well, that changes everything now that happened.
Definitely does. It opens it wide, for the drivers that came into this race trying to make it in on points. It definitely widens the field for them because now with Frankenfield out in front, let's be honest, with the points gap he had, he was almost a shoo-in to make it into the next round. So even if he wins here, not a whole lot's going to change in that regard. So now it's basically coming down to the guys trying to put themselves in points positions going to Martinsville.
Definitely, and the guys that are really doing a good job right now, like we spoke about, Andrew Rucker, he's sitting in the 5th position. Jared Rexing, he's moved up to that 6th position.
He has.
Kendall Noah Player, he's running in 7th. Correction, he just got passed for the 7th position. So he's running 8th. And Damian Leninger, he's running 9th. All guys that are on that bubble.
The fact that, you see all these guys running close together right now. You see Leninger and Kendall Noah Player side by side. I mean, we could have
Campbell,
6, 7, 8 drivers maybe within 10 points going into Martinsville that could make their way into the top 9. So, obviously with the opportunity of a winning your in system, a lot of these guys would have loved to take the checkered flag here at Kansas, go into Martinsville worry-free. But I think the way it's looking, a lot of the drivers that we've highlighted at the beginning of this race that were in that blanket of points, they're all running close to each other.
Crash, backstretch. Matthew Weeks and Joshua Clark go around.
And that could be very detrimental for Joshua Clark heading to Martinsville. 2nd incident he's been involved in here today.
Oh, that's rough. The 11 just got loose, overcorrected. Clark had no place to go.
And a couple of Toyotas getting together.
But I'll tell you right now, what that caution...
It's within the fuel window, doesn't it?
What?
Puts us right within the fuel window, I should think.
I believe so. If not, they probably got 5 laps, maybe, they got to save. But that caution was a sign for the 88 of Joshua Adams. He wanted to see a caution come out to go assess that damage, get it repaired, try and pick up as many spots as possible.
Caution may have been a godsend for him, but I think that he would have liked to have been a little bit further away from it because he almost got taken out in that. He almost got collected up by the 11 of Matthew Weeks. He was very fortunate to avoid.
Yeah, very fortunate. But if Josh Clark can't continue, which it looks like he is running still,
I think he'll be okay.
if somehow he can't continue, then that's another spot for Josh Adams. I think Clark has more damage than Adams right now.
I think you're right. I think that I've noticed that what looks like inconsequential damage to the front of a race car, especially at a track so aerodynamically dependent like Kansas. I think that maybe that 28 car may be hurt more than it may appear. And he came into this one, I believe, only 16 points ahead of Adams. So depending on where Adams might be able to come back to in the finishing results, if Clark finishes back where he is, around 22nd or so, Adams would only have to finish up in the top 5, and he would actually pass Joshua Clark in the standings.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting as Adams is still sitting on pit road. Coming off pit road, otherwise, it looks like Tate Lytle.
Yeah, we had a change for the lead on pit road. Yeah.
Tate Lytle will get the race lead. Frankenfield came out second. Campbell third. Ethan Burrill gets that 4th position. And it looks like Rucker will restart 5th. Rexing 6th. Leninger 7th. Tyler Riggs 8th. Logan Shea in the 9th position. And Vincent Isabella, who had a incident earlier in the race, he will restart. Correction, he's on pit road.
He's on pit lane. Now. Yep, he and Alec Balvance both stayed out an extra lap. I think Balvance actually is going to get the lucky dog.
Yes, he will get the lucky dog. He was the first car lap down, only car lap down. A guy we haven't spoken about all race long. The 72 car of Brent Wentz. He started 18th. He's running 11th. Correction, 10th right now. As it looks like Adams did not lose a lap. So we're going to continue.
No, he did not.
We're going to continue updating you on that as the final 30 laps progress. But it looks like we're coming to 1 to go this time.
Adams going to restart back in 21st. Both Matthew Weeks and Joshua Clark able to continue. The 11th going to restart 18th. The 28th going to restart in 20th. And just to give a little shout out here too, you gave the rundown there of the top 10. We had 2 drivers making their first starts tonight. Obviously Joshua Furr was up there in the top 5, but he went into the wall. He's taken his car back into the garage area. But Logan Shea's done a great job here tonight. Been up in the top 10, top 15 most of the evening. Right now in 9th. Good job for his debut.
Definitely. He's been running in that top 10 spot all race long. As it looks like it's going to be close off pit road with Josh Adams. He just beats the pace car. Did not want to pull a Days of Thunder right there. Didn't want to hit the pace car. So this should be interesting. We're going to restart with 29 laps to go. We have people that need a good run, having a good run. We have people that really could afford to have a bad run, having a good run. Definitely going to be interesting.
It definitely is.
The one that really needed a good run isn't having a good run.
Absolutely not. And that being Adams. And then you got Joshua Clark there as well, who I think is going to be in a little bit of a perilous position when we get to Martinsville. Also, going to get the green flag with less than 30 laps to go. Teammates, and boy, the 15 did not get going.
Yeah, the 15 just stood up the outside lane.
Second time we've seen him be slow on restarts.
Contact in the back between the 83, the 6, and the 72. And here's a guy that we thought was having problems. We got a battle for the race lead.
We do. Campbell, looking at it right now. Sidecraft there. Campbell got right to the left rear quarter panel. Crossover. Here comes Lytle the inside as Campbell may have gotten the wall.
That's not the first time it looks like Campbell's gotten the wall this race, as we have a good battle for third between Andrew Rucker and Ethan Burrill. Frankenfield falling back to 5th position now, as a guy that we really thought was having problems earlier this race. He's running 11th right now. That's Stephen McGough. He's making a comeback. He's trying to get some points. as we are almost 3. Ooh, Frankenfield gets a little loose before keeps the foot in it. And it looks like he's going to make it work on the outside line.
Wide mid-pack, Ethan Reasoner, Joshua Personette, and Stephen Mago. All 3 different lines going into turn 1.
All for that 12th position. It looks like Personette prevails.
Back up here towards the front, Frankenfield now is in control of 3rd place. But the battle for the lead is still hot and heavy. Campbell has not let Tate Lytle get away.
No, definitely not. And it looks like Campbell is the faster car right now. Campbell, that last lap, ran a 29.696. Lytle with a 7.44.
As things run right now, I think we can safely say, if they finish where they are, that Campbell, Frankenfield, and Ethan Burrell could very well be moving into Martinsville already locked into the next round. I think they would have, with where they are currently running, they would have enough of a points gap between themselves and 9th in the points to be able to move on to the second round of the playoffs.
Wall in the middle of 1 and 2.
Mistake, I think I've seen him make all race long on that outside line, and you're right, he's lost momentum. That brings Ethan Burrell and Andrew Rucker into his rearview mirror in that battle for 3rd.
And just think, that's an extra point for Rucker and Burrell. If they can get by him, they might not be battling each other for points, but that is an extra point for them. As
in Leniger, right now in the 6th position, he's now caught up to this group as well, so it's now a 4-man fight for the 3rd position, and Jared Rexing, Tyler Riggs back there, they might get up into this battle.
Definitely going to be interesting as we are closing in on 22 laps to go. I believe they're good on fuel. I could be wrong, probably am, because that's just how my commentating career goes.
I'll tell you what, if they are not good to go on fuel, boy, when we get down to the nitty-gritty, if this thing goes green to the end, it's going to be very interesting in the final 10 laps.
You know what could be interesting is if they aren't good on fuel, these back runners, the cars that have damage, like Josh Adams, like Matthew Weeks, like Josh Clark, if they're, oh my, they're 3 wide for 14th right now. If they're running at a slower pace, they're going to be saving more fuel. So if they're 3-4 laps, oh, the 5 into the wall, he's loose on the apron. Can he save it? Yes, he does. Anyway, going back to what I was
trouble! Saying. Got the 86 down on the apron going into turn 3.
Saved it. My goodness.
I'm not sure what really happened there. It looked like they stacked up coming out of 2. Stephen Mago almost ran to the back of somebody, and then Ethan Reasoner made an evasive move to the left.
The 7 hit the wall off turn 2. Everybody checked up. The 83 tried to go low. And then the 86 had no place to go. The 86 was on the bottom of the 83.
Had some smoke there in turn 1, which was why I went, apparently someone might have been lagging.
But going back to what I was saying, these guys running at a slower speed, a couple seconds off the pit, caution's out.
Well, yep, that takes all the strategy out the window right there.
Well, I guess they just didn't want me to, have fun. And it's the 10 car, Jared Rexing.
Oh, boy. I think he was running in the 6th or 7th position.
That's a big wreck. Damian Leninger involved. The 10 car of Jared Rexing, Tyler Riggs, the 6, Logan Shea. The 3 just squeaked by. My, oh my.
A lot of playoff contenders that you just named off there as well. See what happens here.
So, from what I can
looks like the battle between Leninger and Rexing went wrong.
Yeah, it looks like Leninger just got in the wall going down to turn 1, stacked him up a little bit, and Rexing had no place to go and just hit the back of him and spun.
Logan Shea gets a piece of it there, and like we said, at the top of the program. It's not easy when a car ahead of you gets the wall. It's not easy to stop on a dime, to lift, to allow them to gather it back up, because the difference between your miles per hour and their miles per hour is just exponential.
Yeah, especially considering it's a, basically a one groove track. Everyone's running that high side. You get those rare curves where they're running the low line or the or the middle line. It's hard to check up. They're going 192 miles an hour into these corners, and it's hard.
With about 25 laps to go, we're going to be at 25 to go in the next couple of laps. This could be the money stop, and whew, Jared Campbell sideways coming out of pit road as he was spinning the tires, but Tate Lytle is going to have the top position.
Oh no, Campbell with a speeding penalty on pit road.
Oh wow, that's huge. I mean, obviously he came into this race, looking like he could maybe go into Martinsville points-wise, looking pretty good, but losing all those positions this late, I don't know. That's costly.
He has been so fast today, too.
One of the best cars on the restarts, for sure.
Definitely. I don't think he's left the top 5 all race.
No, he is not. And this is going to drop him all the way back to somewhere around the 18th, maybe 19th position. And that's a lot of cars to pass. And yeah, it seems like, 15 laps that's a long time at a mile and a half. But when you consider the speeds these drivers are turning, the laps they're turning, it is not a lot of time to be able to work your way back up.
Yeah, I mean, especially because it's a one-groove track. Now, this should be interesting. A guy who's been battling all race long. He's had a top 10 car, top 5 to 10 car, all race. Andrew Rucker. He's going to restart in that second position. He came into this race 7 points out of the cut line. And that's the guy that I said, you got to watch out. I see him giving it all or nothing this race because I think he knows this is his best chance. I don't know how he performs at Martinsville, but I think, in my opinion, this is his best chance to get in the chase and lock it up. Correction, get into the next round.
Well, see, that's why I was surprised when Tyler Riggs said, I'm looking forward to Martinsville as the track maybe to be able to capitalize, because I thought a lot of drivers would have this track circled. And I think you're right. I think Rucker is one of those drivers that sees Kansas as his opportunity to move on to the next round. He doesn't want to have to rely on a good finish at Martinsville. He may not have the confidence he needs going into Martinsville. So I definitely think if he can get a good restart here and he can keep with Tate Lytle, he's going to be giving it all he's got in these final 15 or so laps.
Yeah, Tate Lytle is going to pick the outside line. So that's interesting right there. Frankenfield will restart third. Rucker, like I said, is going to restart second on the inside lane. Ethan Burrill will restart fourth. Damian Leninger, an eventful race, all race long. He's running in that fifth position. And Kendall No Player, he's going to round out the top 6. Those are the first 3 rows as we have 1 to go for this, hopefully, final restart.
I find this interesting, too, because you've got Ethan Burrill lined up on the outside line, second row. And he's been running the outside line pretty well here in this race. So I would almost, you have to pick your poison. Do you want to have the 37 behind you with the 15? Frankenfield has not been good on 2 of the restarts. The last one, he did not get up through the gears. He spun his tires. So I'm really surprised that he's having the 37 behind him to get the jump with him determining this restart.
Well, we're going to find out what happens. Pace car is in, and we are green again. Everybody gets
15 laps to go.
Everybody gets a good restart. Top 4 check out. As it looks like Rucker will clear Burrill going down to turn 1. Frankenfield underneath, side by side, coming out of turn 2. He pulls ahead. As now Rucker and Lytle are single file, and it looks like the top 4 will go single file. Correction, Frankenfield decides to prove me wrong. He goes to the inside of 64.
to get the run there off the corner. Can't quite do it. Right now you got basically the first 6 cars all nose to tail. Got a good battle going on for the 7th spot. A couple of names we really haven't talked about here tonight. Scott Haney in the 3, Michael Goodman in the 73, and also got Richard Hines back there in the 9. So you got some new names popping up here at the tail end of the top 10 in the closing stages.
Did you say the 9?
I might have. I meant to say in the 9th position. Whoops.
I'm like, wait a minute. There is no 9. He's the 87 car.
Mid-race number change.
Yeah. It's like a driver change where you just, slap a new number on there.
Rucker goes to the inside, yields the outside line to Frankenfield in this battle for second, and Frankenfield's going to use the momentum to take the spot away. I almost wonder if Rucker was giving the spot up on purpose, because it didn't look like he was forced to the inside line. I think he saw the 15 was faster, moved over, trying not to lose any more positions.
Caution's
and we got
out.
a caution with 12 laps to go.
Wow.
That might have possibly been the 6 car.
Yes, it was.
Oh wow, he's got a lot of front. Holy cow! Was that from the crash, or was that work on pit road? Because the whole front of that car is gone.
The 32 just got in the wall. The 6 rear-ended him, and yeah, he went for a slide and caution came out. That's basically the extent of the incident. That nose clip came off when he hit the 32, though.
You can see right here before he hits him. You can see that the hood, the nose clip is all there, and
so
wow, it just tore the whole.
This is what I was worried about for at least some of the drivers. We have 10 laps to go this time. We had about a 4-lap run. Who pits and who doesn't?
I think if you're up here in this top 10, you can't give up the track position now. You got to stay out.
Well, we're going to find out as the pits are open this time.
I'm looking at some of these guys. Lytle, Frankenfield, Rucker.
No, Uncle Noah player, first car on pit road. It looks like he'll bring down the 3 of Scott Haney. Josh Adams comes down pit road. Stephen McGough, Joshua Personette. So basically everyone but 2 cars out of the top 10 came down pit road, and then it looks like everyone else.
Really surprised it was Kendall Noah player that started it, because he came into this one tied for that final playoff position. Now granted, Joshua Clark has had some issues here, so maybe he feels he's got a little bit of a cushion there. But I'm surprised he decided to be one of those to come to pit road and gave up track position.
So Kendall Noah player took 2 tires. It looks like Scott Haney took 2 tires as well. Josh Adams, I believe, took 2 tires also. Maybe? I don't know. Yeah, 2 tires. So this should be interesting. I think they're banking on
this will be interesting in the fact that well, not only that, but you've also got the fact that you got Frankenfield and Tate Lytle. They're going to be the front row. We didn't really get to see, because of that caution coming out, if Frankenfield had a car that could run down Tate Lytle and pass him. Now he's going to be starting side by side with him.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see. I wonder, is Lytle going to pick the outside lane or the inside lane? He's got that 64 car of Andrew Rucker right behind him. He knows Frankenfield is iffy on the starts. Will he pick the outside lane to possibly hold up the 64 if the 15 can't get a good start?
I'm almost wondering if he might, on this restart, take the outside line, with the fact he's got tires that have run a few laps. You take the outside line, you're able to get away, you're able to drive it down deep into the corner in turns 1 and 2, and it will probably stick. You try doing it on the inside line, you have a chance the car is going to slide up and lose your momentum. So I think he might take the outside line again here on this restart.
Very true. But the jumps everybody's been getting as the leader, it doesn't really matter what line you take when you think about it.
Good point. Yeah, take the lead and then move back up to the outside line before you get to turn 1. That's something else he could do. Yep.
Well, it looks like he's going to take the inside lane. Frankie
is.
Top. So that's interesting.
Field was good on the restart last time, so we'll see if he's good on the restart this time. Have the outside line going into turn 1 being on that outside as well, so he may be able to put up a fight sooner rather than later if he is a little bit faster than Tate Lytle.
And I'm not going to lie, I don't want to jinx anything, but I don't think that this is our last caution.
I don't either. Now, we got to remember, too, with the new rules that if they get to the white flag, they will race back to the checkers. But if the caution comes out before we get to the white flag, we only have one green-white checkered attempt now. It's not unlimited. So I think that for Tate Lytle, he'd love to get it over sooner rather than later. He doesn't want to have to worry about a green-white checkered.
Yeah, definitely not. Well, pace car lights are off. They doubled up. And they're going into turn 3. Let's see what happens.
Ford Mustangs on the front row. Then you got another Ford and a Toyota Supra in the second row. All 4 of these drivers, playoff contenders. Some of them want to win and you're in. Some want to get into the next round on points.
Lytle gets a great start. Frankenfield, another good start when he needed it. Isn't too far back from the 56, and they are side by side for third.
7 laps to go. Will they all be run under green is the question. Frankenfield trying to get a little bit higher exit off of 2 to get straightaway speed. About a car length and a half off his teammate.
Frankenfield closes in on Lytle going down to turn 3 and 4. Rucker running
he got a good run through the center.
Wow, that was a great run.
Where's he going to go?
I think
he's probably try the bottom.
I think he's going to wait for a little bit. I think he's going to set him up.
If he is able to get enough of a run, would he be able to get to the right rear quarter panel and force Tate Lytle to run the inside? Or does he have a car strong enough to pull the slide job on the inside?
I don't think he's got a car strong enough. Then again, he's been showing that inside lane. He can make it work. So who knows? We got 5 laps to go.
We know that they're teammates, but Frankenfield's, he's a competitor. He wants to win every race that he starts, but if he lets the 56 enjoy a little bit of a lead and win this race, he's more than likely going to make it in the next round on points. That's 2 of those team cars that move on to the next round, but I don't think he's thinking about that right now.
No, I don't think he's thinking about getting in on points or getting a win. He just wants this win.
And there's the caution. With 5 to go, so we will. This might be a green-white checkered. We'll see.
Looks like the 3 car.
7 car, I think.
The 3, the 7, maybe.
And that looks like the 26 of Tyler Riggs may have gotten a piece of it as well.
Oh, the 7 and the 3. Oh my. Yep, Tyler Riggs involved. The 5.
The 5, Alex Balvance, lot of front end damage.
Yeah. Well, I believe this is going to send it into overtime.
I think it will. I think this is within the range that we would have the green-white checkered.
Well, looks like nobody is coming down pit road. Nothing new there.
Happens with the 3. Oh wow, yeah. Looks like Scott Haney got a little tight on entry, and there you just see them all. And I can't tell if that was, I think that was the 6 of Logan Shea.
Logan Shea just missed it.
Hoodless and all that just got through, yeah. Now, I kind of think that it's a good thing that Tyler Riggs was looking forward to Martinsville, because he came into this race only 7 points ahead of the cut line. He was running towards the back anyway and gets caught up in this one. I think he could find himself in a little bit of a situation when we get to Martinsville. Not necessarily a must-win, but he's going to need a good performance there.
And if he was looking forward to this race, I'd be very disappointed. So I'm kind of glad he's looking forward to next week, because he could also have that race circled. That could also be his bread and butter track. Who knows? You know as well as I do, we both race. Each driver has that bread and butter track that they love to go to. No matter what car, what series, it doesn't matter. you're good there.
Absolutely.
Granted, most people are super speedways, but you get that rare person that, oh yeah, I'm good at a short track, or I'm good at a speedway, or heck, I'm good at a road course.
I mean, look at last race with David Tooker. He's had unbelievable finishes in the road course races this season, and picked up another one at Watkins Glen to move into the next round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and he's got to be really relieved that he got that win last week, because he did not start this race.
Look here at the point standings coming into this, and you look at the running order right now, and I think 3 drivers that we'll be highlighting when we get to Martinsville next week: Tyler Riggs, Jared Rexing, and Joshua Clark. All 3 of them came into this race ahead of the cut line, or for Clark, right on the cut line, and all 3 of them running outside of the top 15. So I think that they are in the situation where they will be going into next week's race at Martinsville, not necessarily in a must-win situation, but they are going to find themselves possibly on the outside of the cut line looking in, especially with some of these guys that are having decent outings, like Andrew Rucker, who was behind the cut line, Damian Leniger, who was behind the cut line.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people fighting for that must-win spot, and there's only one winner.
The funny thing, too, though, we're making all these speculations. We haven't completed the race. There's still a green-white checkered, so those guys that we're mentioning, like Rucker and Leniger, they're not out of the woods yet. This race hasn't finished yet.
It's true. Everyone could wreck, and somehow Tyler Riggs could pass them all white flag and get the win. Who knows? But be that as it may, field is doubled up. Pace car lights are out. The final time here at Kansas. Race 2 of the first round of the playoffs. Tate Lytle has been the class of the field all race long. Frankenfield, his teammate, he wants that win. I know it. You and I have both spoken to him, how competitive he is, like you touched on earlier. Andrew Rucker. I think this is where he's got to get right on that back bumper of the 56 to try and stay with him.
He has to time this restart perfect. He has to go when the 56 goes.
Yeah, and a guy that I have not seen up in the front all race long, Michael Goodman. Shout out to him. He's running in the 6th position. Richard Hines in the 7th position. Guys we haven't really spoken about making their presence known tonight. Hopefully they can get a good finish, but it looks like the pace car is about to be in.
The last time we saw Matthew Weeks, he was backed into the inside wall in the back straightaway. He's up in the top 10, but here we go. Green-white checkered, and Tate Lytle is on it.
Tate Lytle is on the gas, and he is gone. Frankenfield blocks the 64 of Andrew Rucker. He's going to go straight down to the bottom.
You're Chad Frankenfield. How long do you wait if you get to the back bumper of the 56? And if you get to him, where do you go?
You don't wait. It's time to go. He's 2 car lengths back. He has to go. Rucker knows that. Lytle knows that. Burrill knows that. Everybody up in the front they know it's time to go. And Frankenfield gets a huge run off turn 4. It's going to be interesting. White flag's in the air.
Lytle won the last Speedway race at Michigan. Frankenfield suffered a runner-up finish 2 weeks ago at Watkins Glen. Who wants it more? About a car length separation down the back straightaway.
Josh Adams was battling Kenanoa Player for that 10th position, it looked like.
Look for the slide job. He's going to try it. Sticks it to the bottom.
Not going to have enough. Coming out of turn number 4, Tate Lytle wins the last Speedway race. He's going to win it here at Kansas and punch his ticket into the round of 9 here at Kansas.
Came in 4 points ahead of the cut line.
Well, now he's not going to have
Martinsville,
to worry about
knowing exactly. He's going to Martinsville worry-free.
Frankenfield finishes 2nd. Great run for him. Can safely say that it looks like he's good on points. All he has to do, I believe, unofficially, start the race next week, and he will be locked into the round of 9. Andrew Rucker with a solid 3rd place finish. Did not lead a lap, though, I don't believe.
No, he did not.
So he gets 3rd place points. Ethan Burrill, another good run, started 4th, finished 4th. Solid day, all day long. Damian Leniger, a guy that we thought he was out of the race. We thought he just was riding around. He finishes in the top 5, rounding it out in the 5th position. Michael Goodman finishes 6th, started 22nd on the day. Matthew Weeks, involved in that incident earlier, where he was in the inside wall, comes home 7th. Ethan Reisner in the 86, he comes home 8th. We didn't talk about him at all this race. Gerald Campbell, after that pit road penalty, will come home 9th. Great recovery for him. And Richard Hines rounds out the top 10.
Looking at the finishers right here, I mean, it's safe to say we know Tooker's locked in. We know now that Tate Lytle's locked in. Frankenfield, I think, is locked in on points. Ethan Burrell might be borderline locked in on points with the 4th place run here today, but I don't know about Campbell. He battled back, as you mentioned, for that 9th place finish, but he came into this race only 8 points ahead of the cut line. I'm not certain if a 9th place finish is going to be enough for him mathematically to be locked into the next round of the playoffs yet or not.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. The only guy that, the 2 guys that were behind him in points that finished in front of him were Andrew Rucker and Damian Leninger. Leninger was 9 points behind him going into this race. Leninger did not lead a lap. Campbell did. So in reality, he gets 8th place points. He's still ahead of Leninger. Rucker, he's still ahead of. So he's still in the chase, but we don't know by how much.
Right. Yep. But obviously, as we look here at the rest of the finishing results, and I think, like I mentioned before that green-white checkered, some of the guys that we're going to be looking at when we get to Martinsville next week: Joshua L. Adams, 17th, Tyler Riggs in 18th, Jared Rexing there in 20th, Joshua Clark down in 22nd. These are the guys that are going to find themselves down near that danger zone, maybe just barely inside the cut line or just outside the cut line at a very tricky short track at an elimination race.
I guess it's a good thing Tyler Riggs had Martinsville saved and circled.
Exactly. And you know, we mentioned too, you know, that Joshua Adams had this track probably circled to get in, and he had that hardship there getting into the wall after he and Frankenfield were battling for the lead. I mean, you know, what do you think his standpoint is, knowing that he could very well now be in a must-win situation at Martinsville?
Oh, after this race, it is a must-win situation for him. He needs to go out and he needs to win that race. Doesn't matter how, doesn't matter who he gets into or whatever. He has to do what he has to do to win that race, to make sure he gets into the round of 9.
A lot of pressure at a track where track position is so important. Let's bring in our race winner here tonight. 2nd win on the season, 1st here in the playoffs, and an automatic ticket into the round of 9, Tate Lytle. Tate, man, what a race for you here. I mean, we mentioned that you were the last Speedway winner back at Michigan. So obviously you came into Kansas with a plan, but how does it feel knowing you're going to Martinsville, an elimination race, a short track, already locked into the round of 9?
Feels great, especially having to beat the guys that we had to beat tonight. I mean, I knew Chad was going to be fast. I had a little bit of damage, so I felt like I was a little slower on the shorter runs, so I was a little nervous those last couple laps, but glad I was able to get it done.
About early on in that race where you had the slide job put on you by the 88. I mean, a lot of drivers trying to utilize the slide job, but it looked like you just couldn't get enough momentum to complete it for drivers that would try and make it into the corner.
Yeah, it was pretty much the only way to pass, so I mean, I know why it was done. There was a couple that were a little overly aggressive, but I guess what happens, and just glad I was on the right end of the stick tonight.
On the last 2 restarts, you took the inside line. We were kind of surprised the 2 restarts before that, you chose the outside line. What was the strategy there?
I knew Chad was probably the best competition I had up in the top 5, and I just wanted to pin him on the bottom behind the 64 because I knew if he got clear, he'd probably have the best shot at getting to my bumper. So that was kind of the strategy there.
Wasn't with me for Michigan, so I think this is the first time that Tom's getting to talk with you. Tom, you got anything?
Yeah, it is. It was definitely interesting watching you battle all race long. How hard, we saw you up front for most of the race, but when you were back in traffic, how hard was it actually to pass?
I had fresher tires than most of the guys in front of me, so it wasn't too terrible. But after the first 3 or 4 laps, catching Josh and Joshua Furr, and they were pretty difficult to pass. But I mean, it was just really, you had to get a good run and you had to really send it and hope it stuck.
Now, we saw you battling with Chad a lot. Were you worried on that last restart if he was going to get back to your back bumper after you guys went green?
I was just really wanting to get a good restart because I knew if he had a chance, he'd try pulling a slide job, and it probably wouldn't have ended very good for either of us. So I just really wanted to make sure I got clear of him, and yeah, got it.
Well,
I mean, we saw earlier. I was sorry to cut you off there, Tom.
No,
I
go
just
ahead.
wanted to quickly ask. We saw the 88 try to pull a slide job on you. We saw Frankenfield pull a slide job on the 88. Really difficult passes. If the 15 had gotten to you and tried a slide job, how do you strategize to try and counter a slide job?
Well, you drive in deep, hope that he doesn't clear you. And if he does clear you, you slam on the brakes and pull to the bottom and get a good run off the corner so you can try and get him right back off the corner. But yeah, the bad thing is if he doesn't clear you and he still sticks it in the gas, then you're both in the fence, kind of like he and the 88 were. So it's kind of a win-lose.
Well, it's a good thing that you didn't have to worry about that, and we didn't have to worry about broadcasting that. Congratulations on punching your ticket into round of 9. You're the second driver, I believe, to officially do it. I believe Chad will get in on points. All he has to do is start next week. Is there anybody you want to thank or congratulate going forward?
Yeah, just thanks to Chad for I'm on his team and he runs the league. So thanks to Chad and thanks to you guys for doing this.
Well, congratulations on your victory. As Tom alluded to, you're locked into the round of 9, regardless of next week at Martinsville. So obviously you're going to be, I would assume, looking towards that second round at what track you can use as your strong point to get into the Final Four. But enjoy your victory.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so it looks like he is the only one of our top 3 that was available for an interview. But, I mean, you look at some of these guys that needed good runs, and they got them. Some guys that needed good runs got mediocre runs. Some guys that needed good runs didn't get them. We had so many drivers under a blanket of, as far as a limited amount of points coming into this race.
Okay, I don't know what happened to Seth's mic, but I think I know where he was going with that. Actually, I don't. Seth, are you there? No. Okay, I'm taking the show now. Personally, in my opinion, it's going to be an interesting race to watch at Martinsville. If you thought tonight was interesting, I would definitely recommend watching next week because all bets are off. You have 3 drivers that are basically in. You have 11 other drivers that need good finishes or to get a win to actually make that round of 9. You have 1 winner and for 9 drivers. Correction, 11 drivers. It's going to be interesting. And especially at Martinsville, tempers flare there. Even when it could be the second race of the season and tempers could be flaring there. It's going to be a interesting, exciting race to watch. And personally, I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to broadcast it. Seth, I don't know if your mic's working again. I don't know if
is
it's
working
not.
again.
Okay. Hopefully I was going in the right direction, what you were asking.
You were. You absolutely were. Thank you,
Okay.
Internet, for dying right in the middle of this. I appreciate that.
It's all right. I picked you up. We're good. I'm excited for next week.
I definitely am too.
This league hasn't let me down yet. I know I've only been here for a handful of races, but the races I've been here for, races that I've watched that I haven't been able to broadcast, this league hasn't let me down. I'm not expecting it to let me down next week. It should be one of the best races of the year, whether it's caution filled or not. There's going to be drama. Drama builds controversy, and controversy brings viewers in. So that's definitely going to be exciting.
Well, a short track and an elimination race on the horizon here for these drivers. Only 9 can move on. So far, it looks like 3 are going to be moving on. The question is, who are going to be the remaining 6? We're going to find that out next week at Martinsville Speedway. We'll get ourselves some hot dogs. So for Tom Bourne and myself, so for myself and Tom Bourne, we will see you guys next week at the Martinsville Speedway. Until then, you've been watching a broadcast on the Flatout Racing Network.
Get that chrome horn ready.